Let's start with the prayers. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsa Chadoramarthanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Purushottama Yoga is the title of the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This is our text for the study. And when we study this chapter, we should remember this chapter is talking about Jnana Yoga. Jnana Yoga is the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. It is the essence of Upanishads. It is the essence of Brahma Sutras. What is the Jnanam which these three scriptural texts give us? They give us the knowledge of one principle which we are not aware of, and which is called as the awareness or consciousness principle. This is what is called as God in the religious terms. In the philosophical terms, it is called as reality or Brahman. It's just a name. You see, the name can change from text to text. We can even call this as Ganapati. There is an Upanishad called as Ganapati Upanishad. The same reality, the same consciousness, the same power is called as Ganapati. So the name can be different, but you should understand what actually it really means. What is this power? There is a power which is a common power existing in this world, which is called as the Lord's power. Because of the Lord's power, the whole creation is functioning. This is the fundamental knowledge which we should all accept before we try to go further. There is a power. There is a power which is called as God's or Lord's power, which is the background for the entire creation. If it is the background for the entire creation, then it is the background for my body also, my mind also, my sense organs also. So this is how we should approach this entire text. In the second chapter, this power was described at the individual level in the second chapter of the Gita. At the individual level, we are called as Jiva. At the total level, it is called as Paramatma or Ishvara. Names differ from chapter to chapter, but ultimately in the whole Gita, we are talking about one single power, which is the Lord's power, which is the background for the entire creation. So in the second chapter, we saw that Jiva has got this power. When I say the Jiva has got this power, that means our sense organs and the mind have a power to know, to work, to function, to walk, to talk. If I'm talking because of that power, which is a total power, which is a cosmic power. I have in this body, you have in this body a small portion of that. And through that we function. So the power is the most important thing in the entire creation, which is called as the Lord, which is called as the Purushottama, Uttama Purusha in this chapter. In the 7th and the 9th chapter, so in the second chapter, we talked about this power at the Jiva, individual level. The same power has been discussed in the 7th, 9th, 10th and 11th chapter at the total level, which is Ishvara's power. And the seventh chapter, we call this power as para prakriti and apara prakriti. Para prakriti means the supreme power, and the apara prakriti means the prakriti, which we call it as the world. So there is the supreme power which exists by itself, and the world is existing because of that single power. That is what is described in the 7th chapter, 9th chapter, 10th chapter, and the 11th chapter. The saguna aspect, that means that power, when it exists in the world as the world, it is called as sagunam. That means that power is with the gunas of Prakriti. In the 13th, 14th, and 15th chapters, what we are studying is the same power at in different contexts we are trying to understand. In the 14th chapter, it was all with reference to the gunas. The sattva, rajas, and tamas, these are the three gunas. You see, the creation can be described in many ways. We can say the creation is 5 elements, basic 5 elements. Or we can say the creation is the 3 gunas. Or we can say the creation is of 3 elements instead of 5 elements. We can say the creation is of 3 bodies: gross body, subtle body, causal prapancha, subtle prapancha, and stula prapancha. These are all different ways, different contexts. They're all meant for us to understand there is a single cosmic power. That cosmic power is the Purushottama. That is the Vishnu, that is the Shiva, that is the Devi. When we go to a temple, we pray to that power only in a particular form. Ganesh Chaturthi, we celebrated yesterday, is with that power in the Ganapati form. So it is we are invoking that power. When we celebrate a function at home, we are invoking and trying to see that power, remember that power. For a few minutes, you see, normal day goes off in our day-to-day world. But at least during the functions, what we say, we take our mind off from the world, and at least we are able to be with that power, enjoy that power, see the manifestation of that power in different ways. So different deities have got different shaktis, different forms, different powers, and so on. But ultimately, there is only one single power. That power is called as awareness or consciousness. Why is it called awareness or consciousness? Because we want to experience that power in this body. This is what you should be very clear. Why is it called awareness, consciousness? Why are these terms used? These terms are used so that the jiva, we are the jiva, we want to understand this power, not in the external world, but we want to understand more in our own body and mind. It is there, that power is there. But because my sense organs and the mind is today extrovert, all the time contemplating what to do in the world, and the mind is never free to look inward. So our mind is always preoccupied with thoughts of the world, with thoughts of what to do, with thoughts of worries, with thoughts of past regrets, future anxieties. All these are all covering our nature. It is covering our own nature. It is covering the nature of Ishvara. So in order to remove this wheel from our own minds, in Purushottama Yoga, in this chapter, the Lord expresses or gives us a methodology to see from verse number 7 to 15 9 verses are there. In these 9 verses, he is trying to express how to see that power in this body-mind complex, number 1, and also how to see that power in the totality, in the world, in the earth, in the sun. How is that power expressed? How is that power expressed in this body? When it is functioning in this body, that power is there. So in the 7th mantra, it was told that Jiva, Mamaivamsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha, Manashashtandriyani Prakrtistani Karshati. Mamaiva Amsha. It says that the Jiva, that means this body, is a part of the total, part of Ishwar. The 7th month, this is how the progress is in this chapter. The essence of this chapter is from 7 to 15, these 9 verses, plus another 3-4 verses and then, but those are special verses. So the 7th chapter says that the Jiva abides in this Prakriti. That means I, who am attached to this body and mind today, I am living in this body made up of 5 elements. The body made up of 5 elements is a part of the total 5 elements which exist in the cosmos. And I, living in this body, experience joy and sorrow through the sense organs and the mind. So that was the 7th mantra, talking about how to see that Ishvara in the Jiva's body and mind. In the 8th mantra, the power of the Lord was described. And here we should remember we are talking about the reflected consciousness. It is, see, we have seen this methodology of how to see that pure nature, which is consciousness, how to see that in each body as a reflection. Shariram yadam apnoti yachapyukramati ishvaraha trihi paitani sanyati vayur gandhani vashaya. So how is this power, how does the power come into this body? How does this power go out of this body was seen in the 8th verse. And the Lord gave a very beautiful example here. And he said that like the fragrance is taken from one flower to the other flower by the power of the wind. Similarly, there is a power of this Ishvara which carries this Jiva from one body to another body. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to worry about anything in life. Everything is given to us. There is a supreme power which takes care of this body at all the times. If your body is listening to me and I am speaking, there is some power behind these 2 bodies. You may be sitting in London, you may be sitting in Singapore, you may be sitting in India. But the power is there. There is a universal power which is operating in all our bodies. And it is this power which is the cause of birth, it is a cause of death of the physical body. The Jiva never dies. That means, how can I say this? Exactly like when we go to sleep and we get up from sleep. Anything happens to us, nothing happens to us. We just come in, enter the body again, and then we experience the whole waking world. Again, we go back to sleep, again we get up. So similarly, we will go, if that Jiva leaves, what happens is, it will enter into another new body and will start experiencing from that body. That's all. There is no fear of death at all. It is only a notion. You see, we are all having a notion. It is an idea in our mind. When you study the advanced texts of Vedanta, they, like Vichara Sagara, they clearly point out in those texts that this I am born is just an idea in the mind in the waking state. And then that idea is not there in the dream or sleep state. So whenever the mind is there, you will get this idea, oh, I'm born, I'm going to die. All this is only an idea, it's only a notion in the mind. And this notion goes away every night. We are not even aware of it. And we are able to live without this mind. So this is how we should understand that there is nothing to be afraid of birth or death in this world. It is a creation. It is a phenomena which is continuously happening. That is why it is called as anadi. Anadi means it is endless. It is beginningless. It is just a cycle. There is no beginning, there is no end. Then the ninth mantra talks about that this jiva is a part of the whole again. And again, what happens is, how does this jiva function? Shotram chakshu sparshanam cha rasanam ghranam eva cha adhisthaya manaschayam vishayanupasevate. So how does that power exist in the jiva while it is in the waking state? It exists in the sense organs. And the Lord, when he is existing in the sense organs, it is that reflected consciousness. That original consciousness is never entering the body. It is always free from all the bodies. Ishvara is always asangaha. That we should know. This is how we should know how the Ishvara operates in this world. When this mind is manifesting as a waking state, then that time what happens is that power of Ishvara is there in our body as the reflection of that power in this body. That consciousness is reflected. And then what happens? That power is controlling our functions. Seeing function, hearing function, thinking, you are able to hear, you are able to see, all that is a power. So in meditation, or when you close your eyes, the very simple thing we have to do is just acknowledge that power. I have a power in this body. This power belongs to Ishvara. If that power belongs to Ishvara and it is there in this body, I am one with that power even now. The only thing is, I don't know. This is the problem. I don't know that I am this power which is there in this world. It is there in the world outside. It is there in my own body. That power is the one. It's one power in the whole universe. All the bodies. Kshetrajnam chapi mam viddhi sarva kshetreshu bharata. One power in the 13th chapter. In the third verse of the 13th chapter, the Lord said, there's only one power. It's my power. I am ruling this world. So the jiva who is ignorant about this power, and the moment the jiva understands the power in this way, how that power operates in the body, how that power operates in the universe outside, in the sun, in the earth, in the ocean. So we try to understand that power, and how that power is there is expressed. How does that power expresses, and it exists, and it is never imperishable. It is expressed from verse number 16 to 20. The last portion of this chapter talks about that nirguna Ishvara. How to see that pure form of that Ishvara, that Purushottama, which is appearing as this world, is also got a formless nature, which is the imperishable, which is the ultimate, which is the Uttama Purusha, which is called as Purushottama. So this is the gradual development of this chapter from verse number 7 to 15. Last week we were seeing the 10th verse. We'll start again with the same verse. Utkaramantam stitham vapi bhunjanaman gunanvitam vimudhananu pashyanti yanu chakshushaha. Here the Lord, you see, I expressed to you that these are all 9 verses which are basically to explain to us that one power of Purushottama, that Vishnu power, is there in the individual and in the total. So this particular verse, and the one who knows this power, he is the one who is a wise person. He is a jnani. In this 10th verse, again we are talking, now these verses are all talking the 7, 8, 9, 10. All these verses are talking about the jiva, the power at the individual level. Even the 11th verse talks about it. The 12, 13, 14, the 12 and 13, 2 verses will talk about the jiva at the Ishvara at the macro level. So here, what does it say? It is trying to compare a jnani and a ajnani. A jnani is one who is not deluded. That means he knows that there is a power, there is this Purushottama, there is this God who exists in this world, and he also knows how he exists. See, before we come to the study of Bhagavad Gita, we only know how to go to a temple and pray and then come back. That's all. Or we go to a puja room and just pray and come back. We pray to some Lord, some power, but we don't know the details. And the details are required only when we want to go a little bit deeper and understand that power in our own body. So much so that when we go deeper and deeper and deeper into our own study of the spiritual study, what happens is we become one with that power. The mind gets the strength to merge with that power and be one with that power. And that is what is called as Jivan Mukti or moksha, which is the goal of Bhagavad Gita. Moksha Shastra is the goal of Bhagavad Gita. Every chapter, the Lord reminds us that don't try to identify with your body and mind all the time. Give some time to study the Bhagavad Gita. Understand there is another power in this body. There is another power in the whole creation. And it is due to that power my mind is able to think. There is order in this world. Your mind is thinking properly from childhood till today. Step by step, you have grown in knowledge. That is what is called as order. That order, I have learned, I have studied, I have gone to school, gone to college, I've got experiences in life. And today I have some knowledge of the world, some knowledge about myself. This is order. The sun is going at a particular speed. That is the order. That is the order of the Ishvara, cosmic power. In the 18th chapter, the Lord says that there is a cosmic will in this world. And he says, you surrender to that cosmic will. You will have a very happy life. Because happiness does not depend on objects and beings in the outer world. Happiness depends on your mental attitude towards the universe. Surrender to that cosmic will. He will take care. So here in this verse, the deluded jiva is one who is identified with the gunas of Prakriti in this body itself. How does this guna express? The guna will express as, I am moody today, I am sad today. These are all the thoughts, okay? When thoughts come, that climate, it changes the climate of our mind. The changing climate of our mind is the changing climate of the 3 gunas in this body. Remember this, whenever you are very happy, it is the sattvic guna. Whenever you are feeling very sleepy, tamasic guna. Whenever you are feeling like doing this and doing that and running here and running that, shopping, going shopping, buying this and buying that. It's all Rajoguna. It is not you, the Jiva, which is free from all these three gunas. Jiva is only a Sakshi. It is the witness. It is the pure presence. It is the reflection of that Ishvara. In that reflected consciousness only, the entire activities are going on. The sense organs are interacting with the sense objects in the world. That's all. This is the order of creation. And a wise Jiva knows this. He has got the eye of knowledge, Jnana Chakshusha. It is the knowledge of Sakshi, that in all these activities, I am the pure awareness and the pure presence. Then your mind is never agitated. You have a Samatva Buddhi. You are aware of the Turiyam nature of the mind. Those who have finished, I finished the Mandukya Upanishad last week. Those who have been attending that, they will understand what is this Turiya. So the story of Jiva is the story of the reflected consciousness together with the body and mind. When this reflected consciousness, the Jiva, identifies with the three bodies, the three sharirams, the three states. I am having a waking state, I am having a dream state, I am having a sleep state. That I is nothing but it is the ego I. It is the reflected consciousness identified with the mind. Suppose you are just the reflected consciousness, not identified with the mind, you will then say, I am the pure presence. I am Satchit Ananda Atma. If you learn to say that, you are free. Free not today. You actually realize, I was free yesterday, I was free day before yesterday, I was free before the birth of the body. I am always that free nature of pure consciousness. That is the realization. It happens. Many Jivas have got the freedom. We are not just the first one studying this Bhagavad Gita. What the Lord says is, you understand. That's all. There is nothing else in this world. It's a very simple thing. Understand the Gita correctly. Understand the verses from 7 to 15 correctly. You will also realize it. So Bandha means what? I am that pure consciousness identified with the mind. And I'm saying, I am this mind, I am this body. I am born on so-and-so date. There is no doubt that the body is born. See, never doubt that. Body is born. Your parents will tell you, this body was not there before their marriage. And we know that this body may not be there after some time. So we are not talking about the physical body. We are talking about the presence, the consciousness, the awareness. It's possible to feel this presence with knowledge, clear knowledge. That clear knowledge comes when you go deeper into our own mind with the help of the study of Upanishads, with the help of study of Brahma Sutra. These are the two other higher texts which we learn after we learn the Bhagavad Gita. So this is how we remove our own clutches, we are trapped because of our own identifications and attachments. Because of attachments to the body, we have expectations, anticipations. this should happen, that should happen, this will, I will be happy only if this happens, these are all only expectations and anticipations. Drop the expectations, drop the anticipations. Whenever the memories come, this is a trick of the mind. This is a tip which has been given in one of the higher texts, which is called as, in one of the higher texts, this tip is given by the Guru. It is given in Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana, where Rama was taught how he should realize the higher nature and drop his mind, identification mind. And there the tip given by the Guru is, all of us have got memories. With the help, and we cannot stop the memories coming to us. So when the memories come, what happens is, our own likes and dislikes of the memories, this is good, I should repeat it, this is bad, I should stay away from it. This attachment to the memories happens in the mind. And if we can drop that attachment of the expectations and anticipations of those memories in our own mind, by exposing the mind to the Atma. This will not happen unless until you know there is an Atma in our body. In this mind itself, there is a pure state of Atma. Without those memories, which we call it as vasanas. This is the methodology of dropping our old vasanas, taught to Lord Rama by his Guru, Vasishtha Guru. Very beautiful section in the Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana, which consists of 30,000 verses. You have to cull out these beautiful tips from those 30,000 verses. Tip given how to, because this is how, when you enter the mind, we don't know how to walk through the mind. We all feel the mind, and we know that there are some vasana, there are some memories, there are some things coming up in our mind. We don't know what to do. Now, this is the way we have to expose through the study of the Bhagavad Gita. This chapter itself, you will come to know there is a pure nature of mind, which is this reflected consciousness in this body, in that presence of witness consciousness, that pure presence. The memories come of the past, which is called as vasanas. They are the part of the sanchita karma trying to fructify in this body as they prarabdha karma, and they will go through this fructification process, and then the body and the mind will move on to the next body. While this process is going on, if we are able to intercept that process and say, I want to learn the Bhagavad Gita, I want to learn the process of moksha shastra, I learn to understand the presence of that pure form of the Lord in this body, I learn to look at that form, I can drop the identification. This is what is called as identification. Many times I say identification. The mind, there is a jiva, that reflected consciousness is there. If it identifies with that memory, vasanas, and starts having anticipations, expectations, and then takes actions in the world outside, this is the jivatvam. This is the normal egocentric life. If that jiva learns to look inwards into the pure Purushottama presence in this body, that Lord in this body, the pure presence, then what will happen? it will not only look at the presence in this body, but it will also understand that this is the substratum of the entire creation, which is called as the merger, which is called as the moksha. This is how you dissect your own mind. Go deeper and deeper, and then learn through the technique of Yoga Vasishta, through the technique of Bhagavad Gita. Learn to look at the vasana-free presence of the Lord as this reflected awareness. This is the methodology. And that, when your own mind learns to do it, then you become a wise jiva. Then you are identified with the presence which is called as Satchit Ananda. Now, what happens to the jiva when it departs? That is the topic in this mantra. So the jiva, when it is identified with the gunas in this body of the mind, then it is deluded. And the gunas are belonging to Prakriti. We have seen that when the jiva leaves the body, it is the same power of Ishvara which takes this body, mind, the sense organs to the next body. So the pranas, indriyas, mind are used by the reflected consciousness in this body. It experiences the world of objects, but it is not aware of this divine presence. And the moment you come to know there is a divine presence, which is a pure form, which is a sakshi, which is not at all involved with the actions, with the gunas, that is the knowledge. Gunatita Atma, which we studied in the 14th chapter, is the knowledge which we have to use to be free from the identification and see that higher presence in this body. So when the jiva, that reflected consciousness which pulls the senses into the waking state, into the dream state, into the sleep state, we must be aware it is the mind which is going in these three states. And in the sleep state, the jiva is one with the Ishvara itself. That means the reflected consciousness and the original consciousness, they merge together while living in this body itself. The jiva understands this. And it is this Ishvara which makes this happen. In Kathopanishad, there is a very beautiful question asked by Nachiketa, a 7-year-old boy, to the Lord of Death. This is the question he asks. He asked the Lord of Death, when this Atman, that means the reflected consciousness which is there dwelling in this body, when it is separated from the body, what remains? And the Lord says, this consciousness alone remains. If you know that, then you are free. The pure awareness alone remains. Realize that even while living in the body, etat vaitat. The last portion you can see etat vaitat. This is how Lord Yamadharmaraja explains to a seeker. The same idea is being presented in this 9 verses. Don't miss this Atma, don't miss this presence. Be one with it while living. Think of this presence, think of this pure presence of the Lord when you get up in the morning and when you go to sleep in the night. If you have this prayer in the morning, oh Lord, I have now come back into this body. I was one with you when I was sleeping. I'm now in this body. You start the day in an auspicious way. You go through the day as and when it comes. Anyway, it will come. Anyway, your events will come because those are the events your body is supposed to have during the day. Again, at the night, when you go to sleep, again, you say the same prayer. Oh Lord, now I'm coming back to you. I had certain experiences. Okay, now I'm back with you. I merge with you in sleep. That is the prayer. This is the prayer of a seeker. And then he will never be away from this Lord, which is the dynamic presence in this body. That is the power. There is that cosmic power. There is a cosmic will in this mind. In our own mind, there is a power. We are all, our will power to do things is just a small fraction, infinitesimal small fraction of that cosmic will. We'll learn more about that cosmic will in the 18th chapter. And how to surrender to that will be explained by Lord Krishna. It comes in verse number 46 and 66. Two verses it comes. How to surrender that will. Sarva dharman paritrijya. Okay, so the extrovert minds are lost in the senses and the objects of the world. So we have to turn that. The wise have the viveka. What is the viveka? Viveka means what? They have the understanding. They have the discriminative knowledge. Between what and what? Between object and the subject. What is the subject? That reflected consciousness is the ultimate real subject, which is what we are in our sleep state. But that reflection of that comes in the waking mind, and then that waking mind becomes the subject, temporary subject. So then you say, I am Bhama, I am Uma, I am so-and-so. So then we say, I am so-and-so. I become a waker, I become name and form attached to the body. That's all. It is only a name. It is coming in our mouth. If you don't talk about it, that original consciousness is always there. That is my nature. So the subject, original subject, the pure awareness becomes a temporary subject when it is reflected in the mind. It gets that power and it becomes a temporary subject and goes through the whole motions of the day. Then that temporary subject becomes a father, a mother, a son, a daughter. It does all the duties which are there as per the law of karma, which is called as Sobhava karma, Sobhavajam. It is born, the karma, the duty is born along with the body. Till the end, this duty will be done. You will be forced to do this duty as per the prarabdha karma. So a wise person, after studying these type of verses from the Bhagavad Gita, learns to look at two jivas in this body. One is the jivatma, which is what we are, and the second is Paramatma, the pure consciousness, pure awareness, which is in the nature of Satyam, Chaitanyam, and bliss, Ananda. This together, Satchit Ananda together is called as the life in an individual. Which is that? Basically it is the original consciousness. When the same original consciousness reflects in the mind, it is called as the Jivatma. As a Jivatma, I'm identified with the sense organs, I'm identified with my mind, then I'm tickled by the senses, I go through the sense organs, interaction with the sense objects. Sukham and Dukham comes to me. They're all expressions of one consciousness. So the source of life in all the bodies is only this consciousness. So we must learn to understand this power. This power exists, your power to talk, your power to think, your power to think, see the world through the eyes, hear through the ears. There is that single power. That single power is called as the power of awareness. It is that pure existence which is getting reflected. And which I am, when I drop the body identification in the sleep state, I am in my pure state. I exist by myself. I don't require the body or the mind to be happy. All of us have the experience in sleep state, I am happy. Is the mind there asking for certain objects of the world? No. So where is that happiness coming from? From my own nature. If I can remember that in my waking state, then I am a free person. I am not at all, I gave you that example of Yoga Vasishta. I am not going after that vasanas, that memories. It is we who get attached to the memories with expectations. Memory will come. I need to enjoy this in this world. Go to this restaurant and enjoy. But then I have a choice. I learn to say yes, I will do it if it is a moderate, good, dharmic desire. If it is a dharmic desire, I learn to say no, I drop it. I don't go after that vasana. That's all. And freeing yourself from the vasanas is moksha. Yoga Vasishta is very clear. Bhagavad Gita is very clear. Drop your vasanas, attachment to the vasanas, and be free. So it's a simple process, easily said, but very difficult unless until you train the mind. Every time you are in the world of interaction, it is an opportunity for us to have that vairagyam, internal vairagyam. Outside we will be doing actions, but internally you will say all the actions are done by that supreme power operating through the body. I am not operating. It is the Lord who is operating, by which if I'm able to understand this, what happens? My own identification in the body mind goes away. I am one with that pure consciousness. Body mind is a shell, is a container for those vasanas to come, fructify, give the results. This is the operation of the universe. While this phenomena is going on, I try to come up. By the study of this Gita, by the study of these small, small tips. So the power of talking is coming from the same source. The power of seeing is from the same source. Keno Upanishad, a very simple Upanishad, but very deep in its meaning, starts with this question from the student to his teacher. Very beautiful question, he says. He asks the question, where it is the power of the mind coming from? Where is the power for the ears to hear? Where is the power of the tongue to taste or to speak? And then the teacher says, Shotrasya Shotram Manaso Manoyat Vacho hi Vacham Pranasya Pranaha Chakshusha Chakshudar Idimuchadira Predesma Lokan Amrutan Bhavanti. The answer to that question of the student, the Guru says, is there is a power One power. It is the power behind the ears, the power behind the tongue, the power behind the breath, the power behind the mind. That is the power of consciousness. That is the power which is the Lord. That is the power which this verse is talking about. In the Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads, we all learn about this cosmic power. And the power keeps on changing, expresses every moment, it keeps on expressing. Throughout the day, I'm not the same person. The power is acting in my mind, and through my mind, the temperament keeps on changing. When the temperament keeps on changing, I am together with the gunas operating in this body and mind, going through the motion of the world, going through the motion of the day. But I am now aware of this pure presence of the Lord in this body. The source of life in this whole creation is there in this body. Expressions may be different, but I have now become a wise person. Vimuda means a deluded person, ignorant person, who thinks the body is me, who thinks the mind is me, and then he suffers. Through the study of this wonderful Gita, I have learned I am amudaha. Amudaha means I have become wise. I have come to know this presence. I live in this world. I live in this body as that pure presence. I am one with that Ishvara while living. This is how a jiva, a seeker who wanted to learn, Arjuna wanted to learn who is he? Who is, how to, should he fight the battle? In the first chapter, before he became a student of Lord Krishna, he says, I am totally deluded, O Lord. I don't know my duty, whether to fight or not to fight. That delusion will go away in life. When that exposure of the mind takes place to the pure consciousness in this body. It's possible, it can be done, you will be able to do it. Go with that confidence, you will certainly succeed in life. These are wonderful verses for contemplation. Yatanto yoginaschainam pashyannatmanyavasthitam yatanto yakritatmanaha naivam pashyanta chetasaha. This is a continuation of how a wise person and how a deluded person lives in this world. That expression of that power, how does it change that person? When he has the knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. From 7th to 11th, 7 to 15, we are seeing that expression of that supreme power in this body. So the wise person, he sees the self. He holds that self in this body, sees the source of the entire creation. If you want to know the source, think what you are in your sleep state. You are woken up and you are seeing your own self. That is the vision of a wise man. He knows that he is one with that power. That is the real nature. He knows that is the source of this waking state. Waking states will come and go, but that changeless nature of Atma ever remains as the source for the waking state, for the dream state, for the sleep state to come and go. The three states are all appearances in the screen of consciousness. This the wise man knows. And who is the unwise or the deluded? The unwise or the deluded are those who are unrefined, who are attached to Prakriti. And those people are trying to strive to become wise. So the two, again, see this verse again talks about how a jiva can become wise by understanding the gunas belong to Prakriti and I am different than the Prakriti. I am the consciousness, awareness in which the three states are coming and going of the mind. The ego states, these are all the states of the ego. The ego I is a reflection. It comes and goes, but I am now out of it. I see myself as a separate entity, the reality. That reality is one with the entire creation. That knowledge is also given in the Gita. We'll see that in the next two verses, how that Lord expresses in the entire creation. So here, Jiva is an Amsha Bhagwan. We have seen that before. In the 7th mantra, everywhere Bhagwan exists. He is there in this buddhi as Sarva Buddhi Pratyaya Sakshi. This is a definition of Jiva, of the Jiva who becomes the Paramatma. So what is the definition of that Sakshi principle, that Paramatma principle in this body? What is the definition? Shankaracharya uses this definition very often in the Upanishadic commentary. We can also use the same as our own definition, Sarva Buddhi Pratyaya Sakshi. The Sakshi, the witness of all the vrittis in our buddhi, in our intellect. It is this intellect which gives us the notions throughout the day. I am happy, I'm unhappy, I was sad, I was, I'm angry. All these are only notions. Learn to drop them and say, I am not identified, and become a jiva and start crying and saying, yes, I did this, I didn't do this. All this kartrutvam, bhoktrutvam, the sukham, dukkham, all these are all attributes which are there in that mind. And that mind is superimposed on this pure awareness. I learned to drop I learned to see the two separately, the buddhi with the gunas and all its attributes, and I learned to see the ever-free Atma, the presence, the I, the real I and the ego I. The small I and the big I. The small I is the ego I. The big I is the Sakshi I. Sarva Buddhi Pratyaya. All notions in the mind is this Sakshi. Witness is this Sakshi. Why do we call it witness? Because it does not participate in the events. It does not participate. It is only a presence. If it participates, it becomes the jiva. It becomes one with the mind. But the Sakshi never participates. It knows its status, that in my presence, all this is going on. In the presence of the sun, the entire earth gets illumined. And all actions going on the earth. in the presence. Is the sun required or not for the activities in the earth? Yes. Does the sun participate? No. It is only a presence. So like that is this light of consciousness, which we have seen before also, that this consciousness is called as the light of all lights. So those who have purified their minds, the yogis, they are able to see this inner presence. Normally we say yogi is the one who does asanas, he does pranayama, but that is a lower form. The higher form of a yogi is pratyahara, and then you go on to samadhi, and then you are able to grow out of these identifications. It is the yogi who sees, yogi means what? A person who has controlled his sense organs, who has controlled his mind, and who is able to take his mind inward looking. That is the pure definition of a yogi. If anybody can become a yogi, I mean, through different ways you can become a yogi. Need not be through the asanas. You can keep on doing japa. You can become a yogi. You can go to puja and do continuous puja. You can become a yogi. It only means you are able to control your sense organs and you're able to control your mind. That's all. So those who are not purified, who cannot control the mind or the sense organs, they cannot see. That is what this verse is saying. The Lord is always there in our hearts. Heart here means the intellect, buddhi. Sarva buddhi pratyaya sakshi. If I want to know that Lord, I have to purify the mind. Otherwise, my mind is always preoccupied with the objects of the world. Those who don't study the Bhagavad Gita will automatically be having a preoccupied mind. There is no doubt about it. And they will not be able to see this inward nature of the buddhi. They may not be even aware that there's something like this exists. We have seen in the 5th verse of this chapter itself the qualifications which are required. Nirmana moha jita sanga dosha adhyatma nitya vinivarta kamaha dvandvai vimuktaha sugadukka sangaihi gachanti muda padamabhyam tat. We have seen that through the withdrawal process, I am able to win over my sense organs and the mind, and then free from the opposites of the prakriti, pleasure and pain, honor and dishonor, heat and cold. I have the samatva buddhi, the sattvic buddhi. Turn the mind inward and see the presence. So mind which is free from the tamasic vriddhis of pride, delusion, rajasic vriddhis of attachment. Once you're free from this rajas and tamas, you become sattvic. You become eligible to see the pure presence of the Lord. Lord, who is always there as the light of consciousness, light of awareness, in whose presence the sense organs are operating. The purity is important, and for this purity, there is a process which is called as Medidyasana. Medidyasana means I learn to drop the notions I am the body. Nirvana Shatkam is a beautiful stotram where if you chant that stotram in the seat of meditation, you are able to practice the nature of attachment to the mind and the body, dropping the attachment. Nirvana Shatkam. Very beautiful verses are there. You can go through my website. It is, you will find the meanings and all that. So Vimudha and Amudha. Vimudha means the mind is extrovert. Amudha means the mind is introvert. Vimudha makes no effort, and Amudha means the wise person. He puts the effort. He studies the ego states, comes to Vedanta, comes to Gita. That is, you become a wise person. The wise person sees the Atma, sees the inward life principle, which makes the sense organs function. And this life principle exists by itself. Therefore, you can say, I am immortal. I, the consciousness, awareness, am free from the body. Not today. I was always free. I had a notion that I was not free. But through the study of the 15th chapter, I come to know I am always free. These are very powerful verses for Dhyana. All these verses, we can remember in the seat of meditation, one by one, what happens is your preoccupation with the world of with the world of thoughts about the world will slowly get dropped off, and this new vision will come to us. So there are many people who try to study without purifying the mind. It only adds to the ego. I have finished by hearting all the verses of the Bhagavad Gita. That means what? The ego I has become very strong. By hearting is good, but it should not become, it should not cause more ego strengthening in the mind. I have studied this chapter, that chapter, studied this Upanishad, that Upanishad. These are all ego. But you should take out that essence from the study and learn to remain, abide in this Atma. We may study the Bhagavad Gita, but we must learn what is there in the Bhagavad Gita and how I should practice that and live the life of Gita. Live the life of Jivan Mukti. Learn to say I am free from my mind. If not 100%, learn to say I am free from my mind 5%, 10%. Little bit if you are able to do, that is a big achievement in the evolution of the human mind. Small steps. I have come up to the 15th chapter, fantastic, very good. I have learned, yes, but I have also absorbed the knowledge. That absorption makes all the difference. I have just not learned it, and then my ears, I've learned, you heard from my left ear and it's gone out from the right ear. And then I know today, if you ask me what happened in the 7th chapter, 9th chapter, I don't know anything at all. That is why I keep on recollecting and coming back, putting the vision back and forth, and say, this is where we are. At the beginning of every talk, I try to bring that vision again and again. 2nd chapter, 7th chapter, 9th chapter, 10th and 11th, and then we come to the 15th. This is how I should keep that knowledge in my mind. So a pure mind is very much required to abide and understand that knowledge. Bhagavad Gita gives a lot of stress on purity of the mind. Even the Upanishads, in the beginning of all the Upanishads, they stress on the study. Shravanam, Mananam, Medidyasana. These are all required for preparing the mind. The final test is of Jnana. And that is what is called as aparoksha anubhuti. Aparoksha anubhuti means that knowledge is not in the books. The knowledge is not it is not in the CD or in the notes or somewhere. It is in my own intellect. I can call on that knowledge at any time. Then it is called as aparoksha anubhuti. Intimate experience of that pure consciousness in me, as me. I claim that as my swarupa. It is not an object outside. I say I am that pure awareness, and I live, I abide in it. That power of life is this consciousness. That consciousness is what is my core of the personality. The same thing expresses in plant, animal, human, all the creation. It expresses through the filament, like how the filament is able to glow when electricity passes through it. Similarly, this consciousness is that through the filament of the human mind, it can glow. Through the filament of the sense organs, it can glow. I am that pure nature. See, this is very important because by this process only, I will be able to disidentify. This is, we have to attach to the consciousness, take one step up before we can leave the step below. By the time you lift till that time you have to keep the leg below, till you have got up to the higher ladder, higher step. The higher step is the consciousness. Once you have got the step up, then you can remove the step from below and then keep it up also. Then you have reached the goal. The Sukshma Shariram, the Buddhi, is called as the Linga Shariram. Linga means it is an indicator that the life of consciousness is there in this body. It is that life. The first thing which gets the life in this body is the Sukshma Sharira, that power in the mind. I am. When you say I am, it is that power in that intellect. Consciousness in the mind indicates seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling. Chapter 5, verse 8 and 9 of the Bhagavad Gita. All these are all actions. Pralapan, Visrajan, Unmishan, Nimishan, Napi, all that are all actions which are happening at the body level. But at the consciousness level, I am ever free. The sense organs, they get packed and unpacked. Utkramantam sthitam vapi. That means when you leave this body, the sense organs pack up. But who really helps you? It is the Devata. It is the Devata, the power of Ishvara, which ultimately takes the jiva out of the body and brings it and puts him into a new body. The intelligence, sentient intelligent factor is Ishvara, that cosmic power. Vimudhas don't see this power. A child is formed by two cells. One part comes from the mother, one part comes from the father, and then it becomes the whole body. The brain, the lungs, everything comes. All this is the supreme power, the intelligence of the supreme power. A wise person sees that intelligence in his own body, acknowledges the presence of that intelligence, the cosmic intelligence in his own mind, and says, this power, oh Lord, you are there here. If you acknowledge this power, then what can we say that belongs to us, or what can we say is, I have done it and I have not done it? Nothing. It is the Lord's play which is working through this body, the sense organs, and then it plays for some time and then it goes off. Again it plays, again it goes off. The jiva learns to say it is nothing, it is all Lord's creation. This is the Atma Jnana Chakshu. What a beautiful way Lord Krishna explains this whole creation through this Gita. It's amazing. The structure of the human body, the structure of the creation, how Lord Krishna explains, and our own intellect is able to understand this. And we are also able to understand and become one with that supreme power. That is the beauty of this song of the Gita. Yogi is one who quietens the mind and learns to get that vision of that Ishvara. Meditate on the knowledge of the self and discover the Gita in the intellect. Then you will be able to quieten the mind, abide in the Atma. Knowledge then becomes wisdom. Otherwise, it remains pure information. Information results in transformation of the human personality when it is applied. Application is very important. Many students who are in this batch, they apply this knowledge. I have so many people who write to me and say, this I've done, I can understand. They are the ones who get the best benefit out of this whole study of the Gita. I get calls from them, I say, then they ask questions, they get clarification. But this is the way to study the Gita. Apply and see for yourself that this power, you become aware of this power in this body. That is the real knowledge. That is Vigyanam. That is the light. That is the darshanam, vision. We transform our vision of this entire universe when we get this knowledge of the Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 7, the second verse, Jnanam teham savigyanam idam vikshama sheshataha yajñatva neha bhuyonyate jnatavam avishishyityate. This is the knowledge. The Lord said, I will give it to you, this knowledge, by which you will be free. What he promised in the 7th chapter, he has proved in the 15th chapter, and he says, now you are free, Arjuna. You will have this darshan. You have got this wisdom to be free from your attachments. This is what is called as Vigyanam. Vigyanam means abiding in the Atma after purification of the mind. Achetasa means a person who is deluded. He is lost. Chetasa means a person who is not lost. Amudaha. Reality is the source of samsara, reaching which there is no return. That means that become aware of that pure power, be one with that power, then this samsara, I was telling you about this vasanas disturbing you, that gets dropped off. The self-effulgent reality, this pure consciousness is self-effulgent. Very important point you should remember. In the seat of meditation, what will happen to me when I get out of this mind? Many people have this problem. They don't know what to do because they don't have this knowledge. That Atma consciousness, light of consciousness is self-evident. You don't have to do anything. You have to be the pure being. In that pure state, you just have to remember Bhagavad Gita, I am the Atma. That's it. That is the end of your spiritual journey. When you reach the end, you should know that this is the end. Otherwise, you'll still be traveling Oh, I haven't studied this, therefore I can't realize. I haven't studied that, therefore I can't realize. People who study the Bhagavad Gita alone can also realize. We are all one small amsha aspect of that reality. Mamaivamshe jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana mamai. So that seventh mantra, don't forget, of the 15th chapter. And what are the vibhutis, the glories, the special manifestations of the supreme reality, which I can see in the outer world? So far, from 7 to 11, we have seen the adhyatma portion. That means the jivatma, that power which exists in the sense organs, in the mind. How does it express? How does it live? All that we have seen from 7 to 11. In the next verse, we are going to see the power expressed in the 12th and the 13th mantra. We are going to see two things. How that power expresses in the sun, how that power expresses on the earth, which we will see next week. Okay, so this, I will just chant this and then leave you so that you remember when you come back next time. Yada tityagatam tejaha jagad bhasayate khilam yat chandramasi yat chaknau tat tejo vidhi mamakam. That brilliance in the sun is my power. That is what the Lord says. The Surya Devata is a small power of that Ishvara, which controls the entire universe. We'll see this next week. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Okay. Any questions from the group today? You can put in the chat box if you have any questions. Or you can ask directly.
Okay, I'm very want to know some clarification on this reflected consciousness.
Yes.
Because we know the reflected consciousness comes from the mind only, we thought, and how does the power goes to the sense organs and other areas like our actions and all that? Yes.
Okay. Very, very good question. Now, this is explained in the Dakshinamurti Stotram. Nanachit Khatodharastitamaha Deepak Prabha Bhaswaram.
Oh, I know that from the main source, is it?
Yes, that is the pramanam. That is the source which tells us how does this consciousness gets reflected in the mind first. As soon as we get up in the morning, the first thing which happens is that power comes into the mind. And then I say I am. That I am is the mind. Then that power of the mind goes to the sense organs. The sense organs are the eyes. Then what happens is I open my eyes. When I open the eyes, I start seeing names and forms. Oh, I am in India, I am in Delhi, I am in Singapore, I am in London, I am so and so. So then I am gets, which is in the mind, gets reflected in the body. Then you become aware of the body. So it is first reflection in the mind as I am, as a thought. Then that thought of I am gets into the sense organs, and then you see, you start hearing, you start hearing the birds chirping, you get up, you start seeing the room, then you start actions. What happens is that energy, the consciousness flows through the sense organs, and then you start experiencing the world of objects. The same light through the mind, through the eyes, goes out to the sense object, and then it unveils the sense object for you. Your house, for example, it was, what happened to the house in the sleep state? That light which was going out into the world was withdrawn into the mind, and that house was not outside you, it became inside you as ignorance. So in the sleep state, you are ignorant. From that ignorant state, what happens is the knowledge comes out. Again, the knowledge goes back when you go to sleep in the mind. So the ignorance, the sleep state, that is what Mandukya Upanishad is very clearly saying in the 6th mantra. It says, from that sleep state of ignorance only, we come to the knowledge state of the sattvic mind and see the world. Through the light, it is then how is this explained in the scriptures? It is the vrittis. See, through the vritti, through the thought process, the thoughts, they go out through the eyes, will go and attach itself to the form thoughts. Through the ears, the mind will go to the ear. That means the hearing thoughts. The thoughts are again registered in the mind as cognitions, as impulses. And in the Dakshinamurti Stotram, the beautiful example was, in a pot, there are 5 holes. In the 5 holes represent the 5 sense organs. In the middle of the pot, you keep a lamp. And when you look outside, from outside the world, the light, the 5 beams are coming out to the world outside. So the world outside is in darkness. When the beams are coming out, it is exposing, and then you can start seeing things in the world. So the 5 beams of light are the 5 beams of the sense organs.
Right.
So now you remember, right?
Yeah. I know, but the thing is that the sense organs have no power of reflection. Is it? No reflecting medium, correct?
Yes, you're right. The sense organs and the mind by themselves are inert.
Inert, no reaction.
They have no power. That power belongs to the cosmic power, which is the power of Atma. It is the power of Ishvara. This is how I have to meditate. When I look at my inward, inside my own mind, I should just learn to drop the different objects of the thoughts.
I see.
You see, the objects may be different for you. Suddenly you may think of an object of the office or of the what to cook and all that. The thoughts of the world will come.
Right.
But what you should understand is the content of those thoughts is consciousness, awareness. The content, each thought becomes aware and makes you aware of something.
Right.
And that awareness, the content is what you should hold on and say, that light, it is not the light. It is not, that doesn't belong to the mind at all. The mind comes and goes. It is just an appearance. That is why we call the entire world of experience is just an experience. That's all. It comes and goes. You see, one day it was good, one day it was bad. Childhood experiences were there. Then last week some experiences were there. Again, there was a Ganesh Chaturthi. The whole experience got changed. Then again today, and tomorrow another new experiences will come. So experiences are appearances. They are not the reality. The reality is this cosmic power. The reality is this consciousness, awareness. I learned to look at that consciousness, which is formless. You cannot see that as a form. It is not a light which is a glowing light. A lot of people, they start imagining this light in the seat of meditation and they say, I saw the blue color yesterday. That color changed to red color today. Tomorrow it becomes yellow. That is an imagination. It is not a light to be seen as an object. It is a light of awareness to be claimed. I am that awareness.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And when you claim that, what happens is, then you become a pure conscious being. It is not a male, it is not a female, it doesn't have an age, it doesn't have any form. And I am that pure formless entity, and that entity is what is called as the reality, which is called as the Purushottama. In this next few verses, you will, we will see the more details of how that happens in our mind. Very, very beautiful descriptions are going to come, in the next 7-8 verses which are remaining. We have 20 verses in this chapter. And we have seen up to the 11th verse today. Next verse, the 12th, talks about the Surya Devata. The 13th verse talks about the Prithvi Devata. And then the 14th verse again comes back to the individual Jiva. Okay? And so 14th and 15th verses again come back to the Jiva. So the Lord is trying to tell, Lord here means what? That pure consciousness. It is not that Lord Krishna standing before Arjuna.
Right.
This is how we should understand the Bhagavad Gita. It is a form of avatara, but it is the consciousness.
Main principle.
You may think, is it all so real? What they are talking in the Bhagavad Gita? But you try to apply it in yourself, and you will see the reality. Apply it in your own mind and see there is a power. Become aware of that power. It will change you. I give you guarantee it will change you. Remember that power. It is a cosmic power. It has got the Shakti in it. It has got all the powers in it. And a small infinitesimal power exists in this mind to see that, to experience that nature of Paramatma. We can all experience it as that pure presence. Don't have a single identification with the mind. Neti. What you do is drop that and drop this. Just tell yourself, I want to be myself. Myself where I am. This is again, I'm telling you from what I have learned from the Yoga Vasishta. Yoga Vasishta Ramayana says that learn to look at Atma like the space, empty space. Pure empty space can accommodate everything. Atma can accommodate everything. It can accommodate all the thoughts in the mind, the Stula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, Karana Shariram, everything it can accommodate. But like the space, it never gets attached. So I have to learn to be that consciousness unattached with the entire cosmos. That is called as Jivan Mukti.
Thank you so much.
Okay, anybody else has a question?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Shekaji, good evening. This is Uma here.
Yeah, Uma, tell me.
Okay, Shekaji, does the ego arise mostly from the tamasic nature of us?
The ego arises mostly outside. Okay, there are three natures in the ego. One is the sattvic ego, rajasic ego, and the tamasic ego. It is not that it rises from sattvic or tamasic or this thing. It is a combination of three. In the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna himself asked this question about this ego. And then the Lord gives the answer, and he says there is a sattvic ego, rajasic ego, and tamasic. Tamasic ego makes us sleep. Rajasic ego makes us act in the world. The sattvic ego helps us to come to Bhagavad Gita and become free from the gunas. All of us have sattvic ego in us when we are learning the Bhagavad Gita. So this is how we should understand the ego. Ego is made up of 3 gunas, and it keeps on changing moment to moment. Is it clear, Uma?
Yes, Shekaji, thank you. Then this Atma Vidya is in our intellect.
Yes, it happens in the intellect. The buddhi is the one which gets this knowledge, and then it turns inward looking and says, oh, there is some power in this body. Till now, I was not aware that my speaking is a power. My thinking is a power. My eating is a power. That means what? The sense organs have all these powers. But what is this power? That is what is my question. And that question, when you ask that question inside in your mind, you realize there is some power which is there, not only in this body, it is there in the whole cosmos. And that is invisible. That buddhi, that intellect gets that knowledge. It becomes pure. See, it was impure before. When impure means what? It used to go into the outside world all the time, always preoccupied. You sit to do yoga and the whole world will come to you while you're doing yoga. You know, the mind will keep on thinking about so many. That is what is called as preoccupation of the mind. And that is where I talked about that vasanas. You know, in the Om chart, which I have described in the Chinmayananda's Om chart, there is Om, and below that Om, there is V. And then the BMI comes. The V stands for the vasanas, the impressions which are there in the mind. Nobody can stop the impressions. This is an automatic process in the universe. When the mind is awake, impressions are formed of the world. But when I get attached, that means I am the jiva, I start attaching to that impressions, that vasanas, then again I get into action. The knowledge aspect, what happens is, this Bhagavad Gita is a jnanam of the Atma, of the pure awareness.
Yes.
So when I start understanding this pure awareness, what happens is, I become totally free from this guna. The gunas are acting in the mind. See, it is changing my mind the whole day. It keeps on changing. Suddenly it will tell me, go and do some shopping. That is my rajogun. Go ahead. No need to stop shopping and all that. Go ahead and because just be aware. That's all. My mind has this tamo guna. You know, it is getting deluded. Okay, now nobody can stop the delusion from happening. Many of us, we get deluded from the world, you know. Sometimes anger comes, sometimes jealousy comes. We cannot stop this. What Lord Krishna says is just become aware. Becoming aware is what it is in our hands. And that becoming aware will only happen when you attend these Gita classes. When you attend this Gita, when you learn about this jiva and about this cosmic power, because this is a knowledge.
That means this Atma Vidya will enter into the vasanas and remain there?
Yeah, no. See, Atma Vidya, what happens is, Atma Vidya is nothing else but this empty space of pure awareness in the intellect. Pure awareness. It is there, but we are not aware. It doesn't go into the vasanas and all that. Vasanas are coming and going, changelessly. It is a continuous, it comes and goes. Throughout the day, the vasanas are just coming and making us do actions. Now, the intellect, what happens is, when you purify that mind, suppose you are not purified the mind, so then what happens is, you are attached to the vasanas and you think that that is my life. You know, you become angry and say, oh, I became angry. This is my life. This is what I am. You don't say that I am awareness at all. You are not even aware that I am another principle in this body. So what happens is that this is what is beautifully explained in the Yoga Vasishtha Ramayana, and in that conversation between Rama and his guru, Vasishtha Guru. This is the question he asks. Rama says that I am, in my mind, there are so many vasanas. How do I get out of this vasanas and understand this Atma knowledge, Atma Jnanam, which you are talking about? And the Guru says it can be done only by Vairagya. Vairagya means you create that power in you, abhyasa, that practice. Whenever your mind is in trouble, remember the fact there is another sakshi in this body. Immediately tell yourself, I am the sakshi. I have the power to be aware of this thought and drop this thought also. When you say that I am the sakshi, you will realize your own power of the mind to drop those thoughts and be yourself. That's all. That is what is called as moksha. That is nothing else. The moment the mind drops its nature of getting attached to the vasanas, impressions in the mind, then the mind, then what happens is, this is exactly what is explained in the higher text. All those impressions which you have gathered in the past, all those are all burned. In Mundakopanishad, Kathopanishad, the teacher tells the student, all your old impressions, they all get burnt like a roasted seed. They will never germinate into projections in the mind. That impressions will never be formed. And then you are an ever free person. Even in this birth, even while there are many students who say, yes, I don't have any more impressions, I'm able to see the blankness. The only thing I don't apply that knowledge is that blankness is seen by a sakshi principle. At the moment I keep telling I am that sakshi, seeing the blankness, that is the end of the spiritual journey. You can remain, if you're able to do that, if your mind is not disturbed by the thoughts which keep coming and they are not, your mind is not disturbed, then there is nothing else to worry about. You are able to abide in your own pure nature.
Okay. Thank you very much. Very clear. I'm very clear now. Thank you.
Anybody else has a question? Okay, if there are no questions, then we will close for today. And we'll go into the next verse. And there's a very beautiful section coming up. These are all the very important sections, 7 to 15. Again, I repeat, verse 7 to 15 of the 15th chapter gives us an idea of the cosmic power, both in the body as well as in the creation outside. We have seen how it happens at the body level. Next week, we will see how that cosmic power is there in the Surya Bhagavan. We will see it, how it is there in the Prithvi. And then again, the Lord will come back and say, I am there in your own body as the digestive fire. Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva. That is the end of this section. In the 15th verse, he will say, I am Vaishvanara. Without that digestive power in this body, the body cannot function. So remember, every time you're eating, remember this 15th verse of the Bhagavad Gita. 15th chapter, 15th verse, learn it by heart. Remember to be one with that consciousness principle, the cosmic power. Even if you don't understand the entire 701 verses, one verse, if you remember and by heart, just remember, it takes only 20 seconds to remember that verse and chant in your own mind. You don't have to chant outside. I remember that power and that's all. That power is there in this body. If you remember that regularly, what happens? Then you are in touch, connected to that reality. It makes a big difference in life. Thank you. Good night.
Directorji, there's a question in the chat.
Okay, what is that question? Okay, Lata is saying, if we don't say I'm happy, I'm sad, then how do we express ourselves in our day-to-day life? No. See, it doesn't mean that you don't have to say I'm happy or sad. No, that is a natural thing. See, for example, if you are happy today, say I'm happy. Doesn't matter. That is just a word. It is. But what you should realize is that it is my mind which is happy or sad. That's all. That is a realization. It is a cognition at the intellectual level. Verbal level, you can say, yes, there's no harm in saying I was happy, I'm sad, I got dejected, I got frustrated in life. These are all situational. So what I'm saying is, it's not that you don't say. You must realize that you are the light in which the mind is going through these thoughts. The mind has got a thought of sadness. And that is because of some events which have come outside. You cannot stop the events. Nobody can stop events coming to each one of us. Different events will come throughout the day, throughout our life. Nobody can stop. This is the cosmic power. This is the what is the Lord is that karma phala data. You see, he gives us the fruits of actions. Even in Jnani, he will feel in his own mind, he will feel sadness and happiness. If he gets a good meal, a good bhiksha, he'll say, oh, I had a good bhiksha. It's not that he will not say, I'm happy today. If a student comes and says, I become free from my own identification with my mind, he feels very happy. Oh, this is a brilliant student. So the feelings will still be there, but it is not a reality. For him, it is just a passing phase. It will come, it will go, but he is not attached to it. He is not expecting that again tomorrow. He is not anticipating that again tomorrow. That is what causes samsara. Lata, have I explained to you? Okay.
Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, it's very clear now. Thanks a lot.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Guruji.
Yeah, which verse we must remember, Akshay? See, the verse is the 15th verse of the 15th chapter. I'll just tell you, just read out to you. Sorry, it's not the 15th verse. It is the 14th verse. The 14th verse of chapter 14, of chapter 15. The verse goes like this. Aham vaishvanaro bhutva praninam dehamashitaha pranapana samayuktaha pachayannam chaturvidham. This is the verse, the 14th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15. So, this verse is the one you learn by heart. I've been taught that in different missions, like the Chinmaya mission, in the Arsha Vidyalaya and all that, where the students go and learn for 2 years this Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads. Before they have the meals, even if you are attending, I have attended some camps in the Chinmaya mission, and in that mission, when we attended, then for say 2 weeks or so, every day before the meals, especially the lunch, they would chant the whole 15th chapter. And then the Guruji explains and says, even if you can't chant the whole chapter at home, because we are all busy people, chant at least one verse, the 14th verse of the 15th chapter. Just remember, there is a power in this body which is digestive, the food which I take. And that power is like the Agni Devata in this body. It is that fire. There is a Homa Kunda in this body. The Lord is there in this body. There is a Havan there. The Jiva is performing a Yajna to this fire, not outside with the Homa Kunda and all that. Through whatever is taking, the food which is taking, the Jiva is like an oblation poured into the fire of Ishvara, into the Agni Devata in this body. So remember the Devata, Agni Devata as the food, even while your simple action of taking food is converted into a yajna process by chanting or remembering this one verse. So if you remember this verse, you remember all the things which we have learned from verse number 7 to 15. One verse will immediately tell you, I understood. That power, there is a cosmic power. That cosmic power is there in the sun. That cosmic power is there in the body. In the body, it is expressing as this Agni Devata. In the sun, it is expressing as the Surya Devata. It's a power. There is a power. There is a brilliance there. The same brilliance, the same power is there in this body. I am one with that power. I get connected between the nature and this body. I made that connection, and then what happens to me? I become free. I am aware of this connection. That awareness principle, you say, I am that pure. You remember that pure consciousness you have learned in the 15th chapter. So this is where the connection of the 15th chapter happens between the jiva every day in his life, and he connects to the devata who is present, and then it calms his mind. See, the beauty of this is, while you're eating, you're not agitated. The digestion will happen well. When your mind is quiet, you are eating well, you're munching well. We will study how you should eat also. That also the Lord explains in the 17th chapter. So this is the beauty of this verse. So thank you for reminding me. It is a correction. It is not the 15th verse. It is the 14th verse. There is Chicago speech. Okay, that's good. Okay, similar to Brahmarpanam Brahmavi, Brahma. Okay, yeah. This is also chanted, of course, but this Brahmanda Brahmagni is mainly, it connects also. It's also a good one, but what is important is the 14th mantra of this particular chapter. Okay, that's all in the chat box, and it's about 8 o'clock here. So we will close today, and then we'll continue next week. I'm starting a new text called as Panchadasi on this Wednesday evening for the Wednesday group. It is a text which is written by Swami Vidyaranya. If you are able to attend through the Zoom is fine. If you're interested to get the video and see it at any time at your leisure, you can do that also. You can write to either to me, or I will post at the end of today's session. I will post the joining form in the WhatsApp group. You can just press and then you can join by way of you can just join and just get the videos. If you want, you can listen to it whenever you can. That is 26 verses are there in that on that one chapter. It's a very beautiful chapter to understand the human mind. It is expansion of the same consciousness explained as in a different way, in a different beautiful way. It explains. So I will ask Shanmugam to send that WhatsApp connection if you want to join. Okay. Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.